Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with brand new Mindset and Motivation Monday. Like every single Monday, I want to hopefully start off the week with a little bit of inspiration for myself included. But always remember, every single show is not just meant to motivate, but also to provide actionable steps that you can use this week to make it hopefully one of your best weeks yet. And today's topic is on skepticism. And what I always share with people is this, is that I don't think that any of us really has all of the answers. I think the best of us are simply always seeking. We keep an open mind, that we're simply trying to up-level who we were last week or last year. But I think that some people, and many people maybe that we even come across, feel like they have all of the answers. And those people are the ones that worry me the most. They worry me because if they have all the answers, let's just say you have all the answers. Well, if you have them all, and yet you're not where you want to be in life, that's very troubling. Because it's much easier to wrap your head around and think about, well, the only reason why you're not where you want to be is because you don't have all the answers. Because hopefully if you did have all the answers, then you'd be exactly where you want to be. That you'd be living your ideal life. That is my goal for you. And so here's how I believe we get there. It's not a straight line. And the reason why I say that is, one, is because that is actually optimism. It's not a straight line because as you learn more information, you grow. But the only way to ascertain what is the next right move is to make a move. And then after you've made the move, you assess, was this the right move or not? Right? And that is the way that you get better. But it's the thing is this, is that it's never the wrong move. Almost never, unless it's unrecoverable. That's it. That's the only time it's the wrong move. Because every wrong move is one more move that you will hopefully learn from and never repeat again. So I always tell people, listen, does not matter to me what you label your disease. It can be any autoimmune disease, any chronic debilitating dis-ease of the body in the world. It does not matter to me. Include weight gain, weight loss, aging-based issues, wellness issues. It doesn't matter. There's about a dozen main reasons, that's it, that it could be. That's it. There's literally only about a dozen reasons. And so you say, well, that still seems like a lot. Sure, it does. But let's say you're 50 years old and there's a dozen things that could be wrong. What is the fastest way then to overcome those dozen things? Well, one is you could simply work through the dozen things that it could be. That's it. And you could just do one a month. So realistically, I tell people the slowest you're going to get well is about a year. That's what I tell people. If we just work on one variable out of the different things that it could be, right, then we're going to be able to fix that dis-ease within a year. Okay? Now, how could you speed it up? Well, you could literally run a battery of at-home wellness-based tests to pinpoint what 1, 2, 3, or 4 different things out of the 12 might be dysfunctional. And then what you're going to do is then you'll have a targeted approach that still isn't going to happen overnight, but over the course of 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 3 to 4 months at the longest, you'll have rebalanced those things. Right? So what I'm trying to share people is this, is that, and it's like this for anything. Like I really have realized this. It's that, okay, your relationships, well, they're not going well for maybe a half a dozen to a dozen reasons. Same with weight loss. Again, weight loss could be all the things that I talk about. Thermogenesis, simply calories in, calories out. Probably not, but maybe, right? Okay, glucose levels, thyroid levels, cortisol levels, estrogen dominance, poor sleep at night, low deep sleep, low REM sleep, affecting your glucose the next morning. Like you can just go through it. There's about a dozen different things. Which one do you have? I don't know. Nobody knows, right? We can lab test or we can just work on all of them at once. It's like that's the thing. Or one a month. but typically they work better in synergies. And again, my field is health, but you can break this down into foundational principles that I always talk about with anything: finance, career, relationships, spirituality, health, body. Like that's it. Like you can figure it out. And so the problem is this, and that's the topic of today's podcast. Knowing that, and again, because you can bring to me any particular problem, and even if it's in, let's say, finance, well, that's not my field of expertise. But I'm guaranteeing that at a foundational level, I can share with you about a dozen things that it could be. Because at a foundational principle level, we have to just look at the health of your finances, the health of your body, the health of your inner workings of your systems, the health of your spirituality, the health of your relationships, right? If your partner or spouse or says something to you and you always have a rebuttal to it, well, that's not going to work as a relationship, right? And if you're never home, well, that's probably not going to work as well for a relationship, right? It's like we can look at these particular things that lead to a particular outcome. The problem is, even with some people, you can share with them how they're able to improve, and we'll stick with health because that's the topic that happens to be my area, is that you can still share them with them, and yet they're still skeptical. And it's unfortunate, but those people will never achieve the life that they want because they might say they're where they want to be, but typically not, right? They're so skeptical, they just say, well, nothing ever seems to work for me. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. Or, I've tried something like that in the past and it never works out. I'm just not the type of person that gets these types of results. Nobody in my family is able to do X, Y, or Z, right? If you've heard those things before or you've said them yourself, you are exhibiting skepticism. Again, the problem is skepticism is holding you back from that next step. And trust me, I know that there are reasons to be skeptical because skepticism comes from getting burned in the past, from trying something and feeling like you were taken advantage of, that you were a victim in some way of a product, course, coach, practitioner, philosophy that didn't exactly work out. So I get it. There's no doubt about it. But it's where we have to go back to. You learn from that, and you're not going to repeat that same exact one, that same exact practitioner, philosophy, coach, product, etc. But obviously, there are people out there, not dissimilar to you, getting the result that you want. What are they doing? Well, they may have even participated in the product that you used, and they got a result and you didn't. Okay. Why was that? What were they doing? How were they handling it different? What were the nuances that you may not know about? Because it is all in the details, right? It can be like I was so close for years to getting well, so close, because I was using some of the right supplements. I was getting sleep sometimes, right? I was eating pretty well. Like I was doing pretty much the things that I needed to do. But again, it has to be strung together in a way that holistically everything comes together. That's why I tell people all the time, there is no one thing that's going to get you to your goal. If there was, again, let's be honest, if there was, you'd be there, right? Sometimes I wish myself that there was this one thing that would get me to that next whatever goal I set. But it's not that way. It's not that easy. We know that. But that's okay as well. Because again, part of this whole life that we're leading is that it's literally a challenge. It is a journey. It's a game in some ways that we are simply trying to master as we go along. And maybe there is no end, right? Maybe we don't ever get to the spot where we say, oh, I've arrived, right? Maybe arriving is coming to the realization that you're a human being, that you are growing, that you're maybe always developing, always changing. Not in a bad way, but also improving along the way. That's how I see it. Just trying to improve, trying to get the most out of myself, what I was given, and what I'm able to do in this world. Just reaching my potential. Nobody else's. I don't have your potential. You don't have mine. We don't have each other's potential. We have our potential, right? Our personal potential. The problem is this. And again, I see it every day. I'm just going to give you a couple examples. I literally have friends and family members, and they're like, oh, I don't recycle. And I'm like, okay, why don't you recycle? They're like, it doesn't even make it to recycling, and most recycling is just thrown in a landfill. I go, well, there is some truth to that, right? There's some truth that when recycling is overloaded, right? But it's overloaded, then they bring it to landfill. That is true. I wish they didn't do that, but they met their capacity. Should they build out their capacity? It would be great. That would be great. It'd be great if we turned plastic into more plastic instead of creating the plastic, right? We don't need any more plastic in this world. We have enough of it. But it doesn't always happen. So does that mean, though, like even if 2/3 of all recycling is brought to landfills and trash, well, what about the 1/3? Like, can't we focus on that? No, it's like, well, since some of it doesn't work, then we're not going to do any of it. I just don't know. Again, maybe it's the right model for you, but I'm just not quite sure. It doesn't seem that that's the appropriate way. I hear the same thing too in like work-based environments. I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of colleagues, and they are in jobs that they don't necessarily love as much, especially a few of my good friends. They're in a job that's a job, and I get it. I totally understand. Not everybody has a job that they're passionate about. They can have their passions outside of work. I get it. I totally understand that. However, their skepticism about ever being promoted, or their skepticism about ever moving up in the company, or their skepticism about ever getting a raise, or the skepticism that they would even ever enjoy their job ever is so low that what do? Nothing, right? They don't put in any extra effort. They don't try to excel or go beyond or do anything that might lead to a raise, promotion, notoriety, or maybe even another job offer, because they're skeptical that that'll never happen. Not in their job, right? Not in their company. Those things just don't happen. And I worry because what happens is you also lose hope, right? If you don't have something to look forward to, life can actually become pretty depressing. So even the hope that things could be better is enough for the most part for people to then start to live up to their potential. Because I'll say to my friend, yeah, but you can do more, right? You can do more. You can do better work. And they say, yes, I can. But why? Nobody else is. And when you take the attitude that no one else is, or, well, it doesn't work for most other people, you're going to get the same results that most people do get. And again, if you're around a lot of people that are getting great results, good. Keep doing that for sure. But I've just noticed that it seems, I might not be right, but it seems that the majority of people aren't so happy with their health, their wealth, their body, their career, their spirituality, their relationships. So, and I think that doesn't mean that they're stuck there. It just means that they're missing that next step. And I say the next step because the next step leads to the next one. And the one after that leads to the one after that. And that's ultimately how you do reach your goal. You know, one of the things that, one of the reasons that I wanted to share with you today too, is that even in my own health space, we do our best to break new ground. And whenever you're breaking new ground, and I'll be doing a show on this as well, you know, there's a lot of skepticism. And I totally get that. I understand that. And to be honest, I just want to let you know, and I'm going to share this as we pull the show together as well, is that you have to be okay with being misunderstood sometimes in life. Because when you're doing things that are not common, there's nothing to equate it to. That people don't get it, that they don't understand it, because the first action, the first thought is typically skepticism. Like, hey, what's this person doing, right? Like, what's happening here? So we offer, many of you know this, of course, that we offer first lab free. Literally, your first lab free. And we offer multiple ways to do that. So how can you do it? Well, through our Iobone-based program at Equalife, or just literally going to stephencabral.com/free lab. And we give away 100 free labs per month of our minerals and metals test. Test energy, stress levels, electrolytes, minerals, zinc to copper ratios, selenium for thyroid, antioxidants, anti-cancer. We look at heavy metals. It's an amazing test. It's very simple to complete. Anybody in the whole family from 3 years to 100 plus years can do it. And we offer that for free. And people, it's hard to wrap your head around and understand why someone would do that. So the first response is, oh, this is a scam. There's skepticism around that. And again, I get it. I understand. But the big problem I have with that is that it's not, right? And there's a lot of programs out there, not just ours, that isn't. Is that people have found something that worked so well for them that they have to share it with the world. right? I mean, this is a promise I made to myself at 19 years old, that if I ever got well, I would share how to do that with the world. Well, I didn't get well until 27. But since the age of 27, I've been trying my hardest to be able to get this information to as many people as possible. And for me, at least, when you become sick and tired of being sick and tired, you can't guess anymore. And so if you're able to run an at-home lab test, well, it's a game changer. It was for me. I would never have gotten well without at-home lab testing. There were too many variables. There were too many variables because I had too many things wrong with my health. It wasn't one issue, right? I had Addison's disease, type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, insomnia, awful allergies, mastocytosis, POTS, and so many other issues. And so I would have to work a dozen of those variables for every single one of the dozen things that was wrong with me. I could do it, and I was trying it, right? But it took a while. And so I get it, and I was skeptical. And because I would relapse. I mean, I would relapse, honestly, every couple months. I spent every November through essentially the beginning of April, every single year up in the Boston area, miserable. I would get sinus infection after sinus infection. I'd have no energy. I'd be exhausted all the time, brain fog, and so much more. Shouldn't happen to a teenage kid. It wasn't good. And so, again, I would feel bad for myself. I would get depressed and I would be in a really bad state. And that would last for a while, weeks or maybe a couple months. And then I'd say, well, you might as well try something else. And again, I don't know what that voice was inside of me that kept saying, get back up. I guess that's just that pitta-based mentality or that stubbornness of the firstborn or that Aries birth sign or whatever you want to attribute it to, right? Anything you want to attribute it to. But I pushed past skepticism. I got back up. I tried it again. And I didn't know it back then, but every single time you could call a failure, I was learning from that. I was reading hundreds of books a year. I've read thousands of books. You only do that when you're dedicated to a goal that you have to see happen. And so the big part I share with you is this. If you have a goal that you have to make happen, then what you have to do is not be worried about what that next step is going to be. Sure, some of the labs out there or courses or coaches or you name it, maybe they are not a good program. Very few programs try to take advantage of you. They really, I just don't think that there's that many out there, especially if you get a referral for it. But some of them just will not work for you. They won't. Or there'll be some type of detail that you just didn't know about because you didn't have that one-on-one coach or whatever it might be. But it will teach you something. If you're keeping your mind open and you are interested in learning and you're willing to overcome that initial skepticism, like again, with a free lab where you pay for shipping and handling, or maybe you get the first, 2 chapters free of a book, right? Like that you're saying, hey, is this the right thing for me? Take that leap. Take that next jump. Work with a relationship coach. Take the next online course or certification. Study for whatever you need to in order to get the knowledge to help you with your health, with your finances, with your career, with your body transformation, with your spirituality, with your relationships, with any of these things that you value. And again, try not to go for all of them all at once. I know it's exciting. And I know that you want to improve all the areas of your life all at once. I'll tell you this, though. It's just one more little secret I want to share with you. If you get better in any one area of your life, everything gets better. And the reason that happens is that you have a new sense of self-confidence. You made something happen out of essentially nothing. You overcame your skepticism and realized oh, no, this does work. I was just missing this little piece. And if you do that, it's just that 1% happier, as they say, right? You get 1% happier a day. Well, if 1% happier is simply going for your goals, overcoming your skepticism, and learning that there is no failure, there's only growth along your journey towards your goals, life becomes that much better. Hopefully today's show was helpful. Thank you so much, as always, for your support of the Cabral concept. I appreciate you. If you could review the show, if you could like the show, if you could share the show, that helps us all. I'd love to see this community grow. Again, thank you so much. Take care. Have an amazing start to your week. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues. After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my health results accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.